শ্রী গুরু শ্রী গৌরাঙ্গের যুগল চরণ, শ্রী রাধিকায় আর তার যত সখীগণ, শ্রীকৃষ্ণ ও কৃষ্ণ ভক্ত তদ্ভক্তের গণ, ভূমিতে পড়িয়া বন্ধ সবার চরণ। জয় জয় গুরুদেব চরণ কমল, যাহার স্মরণে নাশে সর্ব অমঙ্গল। জয় জয় গৌরচন্দ্র সচ্চির নন্দন, জয় নিত্যানন্দ তনু অদ্বৈত জীবন। জয় গদাধর প্রাণনাথ বিশ্বম্বর, জয় শ্রীবাসাদি ভক্ত গণের ঈশ্বর। জয় জয় মহাপ্রভু শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চৈতন্য, কলিযুগ পাবন অবতার ধন্য ধন্য। ভক্তগণ সঙ্গে তোমার নদিয়া বিহার, নিরন্তর হৃদয়েতে স্ফুরুক আমার। জয় রাধা কৃষ্ণ শ্রী গোবিন্দ গোপীনাথ, জয় রাধা মদন মোহন প্রাণনাথ। জয় বৃন্দাবনে সুরতরু তলে স্থিতি, কোটি কোটি মনোমথ মথন মূরতি। জয় বৃন্দাবনেশ্বরী কনকহংসিনী, শ্রী গোবিন্দ মানসরোবর বিহারিণী। জয় ললিতাদি সখী গণের জীবন, জয় কীর্তিদার কীর্তিবল্লী অনুপম। প্রাণনাথ সঙ্গে তুমি যে যে লীলা করো, সেই লীলা মোর চিত্তে স্ফুরুক নিরন্তর। Now, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 42. Om, all hail to Almighty Vasudeva. Sri Shuka said, now Madhava espied, as on he strode, a damsel with vessels on the king's road. With unguents and ointments of rare scent, she came, her body in 3 places bent. Although her face did not in beauty lack, she had a heapy hump upon her back. Then he, the yielder of joy and desire, with charming smiles did of her thus inquire. Who art thou, sturdy-thighed damsel most fair? Ah me, I see you carry perfumes there. For whom is it intended, beauteous? Methinks you should give some of it to us, and by this gift you will find very soon the accomplishment of a mighty boon. The slave girl said, I am a serving maid, O handsome bright, of King Kamsa, and as Trivakra height. Since, as you may observe and plainly see, my body is deformed in places 3. I varied ointments and perfumes distill, and the Boja's lord regards me for my skill. But one more worthy I could not conceive than you, my lord, this perfume to receive. Enamoured of the sweetness of his mien, his smiling glances and his speech serene, with all her soul the pair she beautified, and thick-scented paste upon their limbs applied. The brothers twain, besmeared, appeared to view, with tints and dyes contrasting with their hue, shining with lustre of beauty sublime, displaying thus their excellence sublime. The Supreme Lord was pleased to show his grace, the humpback damsel of lovely face. The Lord Supreme was pleased to show his grace to the humpback damsel of the lovely face, and determined to straighten her upright, and show what fruit is gained by his mere sight. His feet upon her toes he firmly pressed, her chin with his 2 fingers he compressed, and raising her, Achyuta, in delight, lifted her chin and made her stand upright. At Lord Mukunda's touch she did uprise, with symmetrical limbs and sturdy thighs, and with full milky fountain breasts became a most accomplished and delightsome dame. Now, endued with grace, beauty, and attire, she felt the shafts of amorous desire, and seizing on his cloth her love expressed to Keshava, and words like these addressed. "Oh, come away, O noble hero, come, and let me welcome you in my own home. I cannot bear to leave you here. Be kind, since, best of men, you have captured my mind." Entreated by the damsel thus for grace, Krishna observed the look on Rama's face, who with the cowherds gazed on curious. Then Lord Krishna, smiling, addressed her thus: "O damsel of the comely brows, indeed I shall in due course to your home proceed. But, O generous damsel, not until my purpose in coming here I fulfill, and then I shall indeed with you consort, for wayfarers like us a sure resort." He took his leave with sweet words and compliment, then further on the road his steps he bent, and entered on the market street, and there was greeted with respect and pious care, with wreaths, perfumes, and betel flavorous, was honoured with his elder brother thus. The city women, struck by Cupid's dart, of loving perturbation felt the smart, and perceived not their weeds in disarray, their bangles and their braids to slip away, and stood as if in reverie or dream, still as the figures painted in a scene. Then Achyuta questioned the people there, to show the way to the arena where the grand bow sacrifice was to be held. The massy bow like Indra's then beheld. The bow was worshipped and guarded with care by the armed guards and people gathered there. But mighty Krishna pushed the guards aside and lifted up the bow in conscious pride. Thus in a twinkling and indirect view he lifted up the bow and the cord drew, then pulled with force and snapped the bow in twain, as the wild tusker breaks the sugar cane. The cracking bow, reverberating round, made earth and sky and quarters to resound. His present doom, which when Kamsa had heard, was startled and with perturbation stirred. The guards with fury were disquieted, and raising up their weapons forward sped toward him and his companions for the fray, and cried, "Seize him! Seize him! Spare not, but slay!" Now when Bala and Keshava espied their ill intent, between them did decide, and taking up each half the broken bow, they struck out with vigour and laid them low. Another band of guards they swiftly slew, deputed by Kamsa, and then did pursue their exit from the gate to view the town, and see the sights of opulent renown. And thus the brothers twain roamed with delight, surveyed the city, and enjoyed the sight. Having observed the puissance of these two, their audacity wonderful to view, the city dwellers measured up the odds, and deemed they must be two prominent gods. And as they ambled careless in the town, the Lord Aditya began to roll down. They left the city with their friends and went back to the cowherd's wagon settlement. The cowherd dames, when Mukunda had left, distressed by his departure, were bereft, and by their prediction they augured true, that when the Madhupurians had the view of him, the gem ornament of mankind, they would the highest benediction find. To see him, for whom Lakshmi did forsake all others, though they would her favours take. After the brothers twain had washed their feet, they drank some milk and rice pudding did eat. Although they were aware of the intent of Kamsa, spent the night in calm content. Meantime, Kamsa was fearful, hearing how the brothers had broken the sacred bow, how Govinda and Rama in their might had slain the guards and put others to flight. How this they had accomplished, as in play, filled him with ill boding and sore dismay. He saw bad omens, sleeping and awake, and harbingers of death that made him quake. By reflection he saw he had no head, and double stars a livid lustre shed. In his shadow wide gaping holes were found, he could not see his footprints on the ground. He saw trees with a pallid golden glare, nor could detect the sound of his life air. He dreamt he was by fiends and ghosts embraced, riding an ass, and there with garlands placed, a naked man to wander round was seen, with red flowers and oil besmeared, unclean. Thus he did, while awake and dreaming, see visions that filled him with anxiety, and terrified by such like auguries, he could not sleep, but was most ill at ease. O foremost of the Kuru dynasty, when Surya had risen above the sea, Kamsa arose and did the wrestlers call for preparation of the festival. The arena was consecrated round, instruments and loud beating drums resound. Platforms were reared with flowers garlanded, arches were raised with flags flying o'erhead. The city burghers and the peasantry, the Brahmins, martial chiefs, in due degree assumed their seats, the tournament to view. The great princes, as to their honour due, were given seats according to their worth, their dignity, renown, and noble birth. Surrounded by his ministers of state, on the throne imperial Kamsa sate. Though seated with his allied kings, his heart trembled, and of affliction knew the smart. The beating drums reverberated round, and martial measures from the pipes resound. The haughty wrestlers took their grand entry make, adorned, and with their coaches their seat take. When they the crowd beheld, the music heard, the wrestlers were with martial ardour stirred. Chanura, Mustika, and Kuta met, sat Toshala on the carpet. The cowherd Nanda on the summoning with the cowherds came to the Bhoja king, and paid their tribute, whereon they repaired to the fine gallery for them prepared. Thus ends chapter 42 in Book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, The text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. Now, chapter 43, the argument. The raging tusker is brought down, Mukunda enters in the town. The audience congratulate, these themes this chapter doth relate. Sri Shuka said, Now Krishna and Rama their rites had done for necessary purification, and hearing drums and martial music blent, to see the spectacle they thither went. When to the arena's gate Krishna came, a bulky elephant did there remain, as mighty Kuvalaya Pida known, to bar the way by its keeper urged on. Now, girding up his garments for attack, Sauri his curly locks drew and tied back, and addressed the elephant keeper loud, and with voice like the reverberating cloud. Ho, elephant keeper, do as I say. Remove yourself and get out of the way, or else you, along with your beast, I send to Yama. You shall to his house descend. Thus threatened, the keeper was fraught with rage, and the mighty beast goaded to engage, like Time, Doom, and Yama personified, the wicked elephant Krishna defied. The mighty beast dashed forth at furious pace, and sought with its trunk Krishna to enlace, but he avoided, and with fist upreared, smote him, and twixt his legs he disappeared. Not seeing Keshava, the elephant, enraged, searched for him with its trunk by scent, then caught him, but by cunning Lord Hari released himself with swift dexterity. Grabbing the tail, he leapt up with a bound, and dragged the beast backward across the ground. Full 25 bow-lengths drew him back, as when gold wing a serpent doth attack. Now, as Achyuta traversed left and right, the beast swerved opposite with all its might, as when a boy a calf's tail would essay to tug and pull back in frolic and in play. Then, face to face before the beast did stand, and dealt him with a blow with his open hand, and having thus in feigning terror fled, at which the elephant after him sped, but at each step by step he gave the slip, and made the beast to stumble, fall, and trip. He, running, feigned to fall upon the ground. Then just in time he leapt up with a bound, while the mad elephant bore down to gore. His sharp tusk missed the mark, and the earth tore. Thwarted in its attempts to thus engage, the lordly tusker in frenzy did rage. The keepers, in their fury and disdain, goaded the beast to charge Krishna again. Thereon, confronting him, the mighty one, the slayer of Madhusudan, seized the lordly elephant by the trunk, and pulled with force, whereat to earth it sunk. Then Hari, as a lion, with a bound, leapt on the elephant, now on the ground, and then plucked out a tusk with it, and with it slew the elephant with all its retinue. Leaving the dead elephant on the sand, he kept the ivory tusk in his hand, and over his shoulder the burden placed, with drops of blood and perspiration graced. His face was as the lotus bloom to view, sprinkled with drops of pollen and with dew. Surrounded by his eager cowherd friends, Lord Janardana with Baladeva wends into the sports arena, carrying the tusk upon his shoulder, O great king. मल्लानामसनिर्नृणां नरवरस्त्रीणां स्मरो मूर्तिमान् गोपानां स्वजनो सतां क्षितिभुजां शाष्टा स्वपित्रो शिशुः मृत्युर्भोजपतिर्विराडविदुषां तत्त्वं परं योगिनां वृष्णीनां परदेवतेति विदितो रङ्गं गतः साग्रजः. Him as a thunderbolt the wrestlers viewed, as the best of all men the men conclude. The women folk saw Cupid in person, the cowherds saw their own dear relation. The kings saw the chastiser who annoys, his parents saw their own beloved boys. The Boja king saw death approach, and then the ignorant saw just a worldly man. The Yogins saw the supreme truth adored. The Vrishni clan beheld their cherished lord. Thus each, according to his sentiment, viewed Krishna as he with his elder went. Thus, seeing Kuvalaya Pida slain, the mighty puissance of the brothers twain, Kamsa, O king, grew fearful in his mind, was sore distracted, and no peace could find. The princely pair displayed their brilliant charms, of varied fine raiment and mighty arms, with jewels dight, with flowers garlanded, as into the sports arena they tread, and seemed the leading actors brave and bold, their refulgence wonderful to behold. The spectators from the galleries gazed at the primal masters and were amazed. The people of the town and countryside observed them with their eyes dilated wide, and with their eyes they quaffed with joy elate the charm of their faces insatiate. With eyes they drank, with tongues they seemed to taste, with noses smelt him, and with arms embraced. The people each to each began to say, recalling their beauty and bravery from what they had witnessed and what they heard, and thus the people joyfully conferred. These two are both supreme and almighty, the own self of Narayana Hari, who by their emanated parts have come to incarnate in Vasudeva's home. This one was born of pious Devaki and taken to Gokula secretly, where he grew and up to this time has spent concealed in Nanda's cowherd settlement. Wicked Putana was killed by this boy, and the whirlwind demon he did destroy. By him a pair of Arjun trees were felled, Guyaka, Keshi, Denuka were killed. He saved the boys and cows from forest fire, and forced the snake Kalia to retire. He minished Indra's pride and took his stand on the mount for 7 days held on his hand. The mount for 7 days held on his hand, and did the cowherds' safety thus maintain, and sheltered them from wind and hail and rain. The cowherd dames were always pleased to see his smiling glance fraught with felicity, and overcame all sorrow and distress in the enjoyment of vast happiness. 'Tis said, by his auspicious influence, the Yadu clans would gain pre-eminence, an increase of glory and high acclaim, prosperity and power and worthy fame. The other, his elder, who with him hies, is lordly Rama of the lotus eyes. He slaughtered Pralamba and Baka too, also the demon Vatsaka he slew. Thus, while the people the two heroes praised, the clamour of the pipes and drums was raised. To Rama and Krishna Chanura pressed, and thus the challenge general addressed. Ho, son of Nanda! Ho, Rama! Hear me, O heroes of renowned dexterity. The king hath bid ye both show your skill, such being his desire and his will. The subjects, who by thought and action bring pleasure and satisfaction to the king, achieve good fortune worthy to requite their faith, but others gain the opposite. 'Tis known that cowherds, joying in the fray, wrestle and box while with the herds they stray. The king, therefore, in pleasure doth assent. The people will be joyful and content. It thus behooves us that joy we should bring, for all are constituent of the king. Which having heard, and eager for the fray, Krishna deliberately gan to say, with all the force of eloquence and grace, appropriate to the time and the place. Though true it is, we in the forest roam, we are the subjects of the Bhoja throne, and should we do his pleasure and desire, we shall the greatest benefit acquire. But we are youths, and should be matched with those our equals in the wrestling to oppose. Since if in unrighteousness we begin, the audience will be tainted with sin. Chanura said, Ah, what? Nor child nor stripling youth are you, nor is Bala, but mighty strong to view. The tusker of 1,000 tuskers' strength you toyed with, and then slaughtered him at length. Therefore both of ye are endued with might, and without contravention of the right. Scion of Vrishnis, you with me engage. Bala can show Mustika his courage. Thus ends chapter 43 in Book 10 of the great and glorious Bhagavat Purana, the text beloved of swan-like saints, sung by the son of Vyasa. Hare Krishna. Om Tat Sat.